Okay. Good morning, every one of you. Welcome to the Jambi Bodhicitta retreat. Okay, so basically, what we do is that the first session is more like an orientation course, and first we begin by making prostrations. As we make prostrations, so visualize. So we have the Buddha Shakyamuni in the center, the founder of this incredible, precious teaching for the welfare of all sentient beings. And then to the Buddha Shakyamuni's on the right is Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassion, or the wisdom of the Bodhisattva of compassion. So this differs between Tantra and Sutra. According to Sutra system, he's revered as the Bodhisattva of compassion, and according to the Tantra system, he's revered as the Buddha of compassion. And then to the Buddha Shakyamuni's the left side is Arya Manjushri, the Buddha of wisdom. So eventually what we'll come to know is that we learn that finally what takes us towards enlightenment is the wisdom and compassion, the two wings. So it is for this reason that we have the two bodhisattvas are here on two sides, the wisdom and compassion. And particularly why we put the Avalokiteshvara to the right side of Buddha Shakyamuni is for the reason that the emphasis is going to be on the Bodhicitta compassion, but of course the wisdom is equally to be emphasized, which we're going to do. And then to Avalokiteshvara's the left side is Arjuna, who was revered as the second Buddha, as per the Chinese Buddhism and Tibetan Buddhism, which all inherited from Nalanda, the Institute Nalanda Monastic University. And then to the Arya Manjushri's left side is Adhishitta Shirigyanam. And we were just wondering if somehow we could get the one that of the Bodhisattva Dharmakirti or Lama Selingpa, the teacher of Adhishitta Shirigyanam, but we couldn't get it. Anyways, it doesn't matter. So we are in his place. Bodhisattva Dharmakirti or Lama Selingpa is the same. Lama Selingpa is the translation, the Tibetan translation of this, and the guru or the teacher from the land of gold. So this is the label given to this teacher. And so while we think of the Adhishitta Shirigyanam, we just visualize Bodhisattva Dharmakirti or Lama Selingpa, because why we deliberately came here for Jambi was I requested Wenla. Last time we had the retreat in Bali, and then we were on the verge to organize the same thing in Bali this time as well. And then I asked Wenla if it is possible to organize in the place where the Bodhisattva Dharmakirti actually came from, because that is the source. This place is the source of the teaching on Bodhicitta. So in fact, over time we'll come to know that all what we are learning is just the amazing practice of the unconditional love, which otherwise cannot be found in usual situation. And this is something which we come to realize. For example, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the son of the world today. So what made him such a brilliant being, so beneficial to countless numbers of beings on this earth, is simply because he inherited this teaching eventually from this great master, Bodhisattva Dharmakirti or Lama Selingpa from Indonesia, from Jambi here. So with this in mind, visualize all these enlightened beings, and right below Buddha Shakyamuni we have the immediate guru, our guru, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So there we likewise visualize His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all the lineage gurus from His Holiness till the Buddha Shakyamuni. We visualize all of them there, one. And number two is, as the saying goes in the great Tibetan Katamba tradition, that the two deeds, one in the beginning and one in the end. One in the beginning is setting a proper motivation. So you set a proper motivation that makes a whole difference to the next 11 days or whatever endeavor that you're undertaking. And then in the end, whatever good that you've done, see how to give a clean completion through dedicating properly. So these are the two things that we are not to miss. And as of now, we are doing the setting proper motivation. For that purpose, as we make the prostrations unto all these enlightened beings, what we do is that you visualize them, not just the visualization, two things: what to visualize and how to visualize. What to visualize is these enlightened beings, and how to visualize is these enlightened beings as like your own mothers. Your mothers, for example, just imagine you as a very young, tender child, tender baby, aged like say 1, 2, or say 1 week, 2 weeks. And then you are just so vulnerable, and your mother is there to take care of you. So this is exactly how we should visualize all the enlightened beings with tremendous love and care and attention, taking care of us there. So this is, the more if we are able to do this meticulously, the benefit is that our connection, in other words, the refuge, sense of refuge builds up. It gets strengthened. That is for the refuge purpose. Number 2 is they say, you, when we make prostrations, it is not just you who's making prostrations. Instead, we should think of, say, your two grandparents with you. Even though you might have difficulty with your parents in some cases, don't worry about that. So now the purpose of our coming here, particularly to Jambi place, and to embrace the Bodhicitta practice, is to transcend the ordinary people's thinking. So, particularly say like the 21st century and now 2017, so there we see that the trend of the ordinary people is that as you reach age 16, 17, 18, then there's a little gap happening between the parents and the children. So this is the ordinary people's thinking. Ordinary people's thinking. Now we are to say, when we are very young child, like a baby, the mother, you will never see this discrepancy, this gap increasing. When you are very young, the mother's love is total, unconditional. So this is how we are trying to cultivate here by being together. And this is what is known as transcending the ordinary people's thinking. So where ordinary people, when they reach age 18, 19, 20, and then there's little discrepancy happening between your thinking and your parents' thinking, and then you dislike the parents, it happens. This is ordinariness. This is a sign of our being ordinary. Now what we do is that over the course of time, you will come to learn that we are like our parents. We are like all other sentient beings are like your children, and you are their mother, and you are taking care of them. So imagine what if all the sentient beings, they are like your own children, they are just like age 1, age 2, and then you would not at all count. Is that all what we are going through, all the miseries that we are going through, somehow they boil down to ignorance. So ignorance is like darkness. When in dark, you don't see what is around you. When one is ignorant, you don't know the reality. So ignorance is like darkness, and the best way by which to eradicate darkness is by introducing the light. It is only through introducing the light of the wisdom that the darkness of ignorance can be eliminated. So it is for this reason that we are offering this lamp symbolic of the wisdom. And imagine that you're offering this to all enlightened beings on behalf of your two parents, all your family members, and all sentient beings. On behalf of them, you're offering this light symbolic of the wisdom, beseeching all Bodhis and Bodhisattvas to kindly bestow upon us, all sentient beings, this light of the wisdom of the interdependency, the wisdom of emptiness, wisdom of dependent origination. Okay, this is what we're going to do. And usually when we make prostrations, I request everyone to make sure that you have something underneath your knees to protect your knees, because oftentimes when we make prostrations, when the floor is very bare, hard, then it can affect your knees. So whereas here, the carpet is the soft, it's already there, so we don't worry too much about that. So when we make prostrations, we will make now 3 prostrations. And when do we have this one? Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. If not, it doesn't matter. What we do is that we download it. You have it. Very good. So Now from tomorrow onwards, the schedule will be as what you've distributed. So from the right early morning we'll start. Okay. So with this we'll make 3 prostrations together. Don't forget all the enlightened beings. What to visualize? How to visualize? They are like your mothers, and you are their, say, child, a very vulnerable child, and who is coming home, so demoralized, being bullied by the elder children in the school, and they are waiting there to give you full love, affection, and attention, right? And then, say, pertaining to your 2 parents and all sentient beings around you, imagine that you are the mother, and all of them are like your children, right? And the mother should not fight with the young children. Right? So mother should embrace all the young children rather than fighting, right? So with this, just total submission to unconditional love to all sentient beings, then you make prostrations. See how when the mother makes the prostrations, all the young children, they will just imitate the mother. So this is how we should imagine that everyone is happily joining you in making prostrations to all enlightened beings. Okay, 3 prostrations together. Okay, next come to light the lamps. When lighting the lamps, because that the size of the audience is the participants is quite big, so we do like 2 or 3 simultaneously. So in the rows, in 2 lines or 3 lines, let's make it quite quick because it's quite time consuming. And when we offering the light, just visualize the same thing. And there is 1 stanza. I don't know whether all of you have that stanza. Everyone has? Okay, so basically what we do is that if you don't have it, it doesn't matter. How you visualize, how you do the thinking should be done as I explained earlier. You imagine that you are lighting the lamp of the wisdom for all sentient beings. And the wordings is from Bodhicitta's book. It says, with folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of what? Lamp of Dharma for all bewildered in misery's gloom. So this wording. So those of you who don't have it, during the break time, you can copy that for yourself, and then we'll learn. Okay, so come up. Glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma. This can catch fire. Yeah. This way. Good. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to chant the Lambo Dharma for all bewildered mysteries gloom. Okay, thank you. Please take your seats. Okay, I hope all of us have the prayer book. As a part of setting a proper motivation, let's turn to page 2 of the prayer book. Page 2 of the prayer book. Okay, as I said earlier, this session is more like orientation course, this session, and still we have to have a proper dedication to make sure that the next 11 days are going to be meaningful, beneficial, as intended, and I'll wholeheartedly visualize all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, particularly Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and Arab Lugateshvara, Arab Majeshwari, Arab Maitreya, Arab Vajrapani, Arab Thara, Arab Nagarjuna, Arab Deva, Buddha Palita, Acharya Chandrakirti, Bodhisattva Shandarakshita, Bodhisattva Shanti Deva, Acharya Kamalashil, then the Bodhisattva Dharmakirti or Lama Silingpa, Bodhisattva Atisha Debangare Shri Jnana, and all the enlightened beings in front of you. And the sky filled with Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. How you visualize them? Number 2 is how to visualize them. They are like your very affectionate parents. And you are their child, coming home demoralized from school, being bullied by elder children. And they are there to give full love, affection, attention, and embrace. Bodhicitta field number 2. You are surrounded by your two kind parents and all your family members and all dear mother sentient beings from Jambi, all over Indonesia, all over Asia, the world, the Milky Way galaxy, and the entire universe, including the beings from all the 6 realms, the beings from hell realm, hungry ghost realm, animal realm, human realm, the god and demigods. And here you are the mother, and all others are like your children. And you are there to give full love, affection, attention. And look at the disasters, look at the miseries, the beings, the animals, the humans, the insects, all the beings, how they are going through. And so keeping that in mind, imagine that all your dear mother sentient beings, they are suffering, and you are there to give full love, affection, attention, so forth, to the extent that each one of them feels themselves as so special in your eyes. With a great reassurance from your side, we are going to cultivate, we are going to attend this 11-day Jambi Bodhicitta retreat. So with this setting of the proper motivation, we are undertaking a journey of discovering the ultimate nature, discovering the ultimate potential, ultimate treasure that exists within each one of us, which is referred to as the Buddha nature, which exists in everyone, irrespective of who you are, whether you are a believer or non-believer, whether you're Buddhists, Muslims, Hindus, Christians, Jains, the Jews, or the Baha'i. It doesn't matter. Everyone, whether you're human beings or non-human beings, everyone has this treasure of ultimate happiness that exists within us. And of course, we need to gain conviction in this. We are not to take them blindly on the basis of someone else telling you. Rather, we should know, we should gain conviction that this is true. So it happens only through learning. So while this treasure is there, why don't we experience it? It's all because that this treasure, like the gold when mixed with the ore, when mixed with the ore, in the form of the ore, we don't see the gold. And in the eyes of ordinary people, this is not at all gold. It's just the soil to be dumped, to be thrown away. Whereas in the eyes of the gold experts, this is so precious. It contains gold there, although it is not shining, it is not glittering, but there is a gold there. How do we know this? Through the process of separating the dirt, the soil from the gold, then the gold will start shining and glowing and glittering. Likewise, this is what is within us. This gold is within us, but when mixed with the soil, it is not visible. We see that it is just a hopeless the object. In actuality, it is nothing but the gold mixed with the soil. So what is that soil like? It is, we have to separate the soil, the gold from the soil. What is the soil or the dirt like? This dirt, in other words, is nothing but the mental defilements which obscure this beautiful potential within us, beautiful, the treasure of ultimate happiness within us. You manifest it, and then we don't have to depend on any other external factors. We are 24/7 happy, we are 24/7 at peace. No external factor can stir your peace of mind, your happiness. And not only that, we become like a sun. Not only that the sun cannot be obscured by others, and that the sun can illuminate every atom of the universe. So this potential is what we have when maybe it is true, manifesting this treasure within us, and we can become a Buddha. So the next question. So what is that? What is the purpose of our coming together here? It is to manifest this Buddha nature. It is to manifest this treasure of ultimate happiness within us. Why it is not manifest thus far is because it is defiled by the mental defilements, mental obscurations. What kind of obscurations? Obscurations, it is of two kinds, the gross and the subtle. Like a cloth when it falls in a mud, first we have to dip it in just a clean water without any detergent. You dip it in the clean water, all the solid dirts will disappear. It will go away. So there is a gross dirts. Then you dip it in this second clean water. The subtler version of the dirts will go away. Then you dip in the third water. Then it doesn't go away. There's a stain left there. So this stain will never go away. Even if however many times you may put in the water, it needs a special detergent. So that subtle dirts or the stains and the gross dirts, these two are mixed together, but only through effort. When we remove the gross dirts, then the subtle ones will become manifest. Likewise, within the mind, what obscures our mind of this incredibly powerful, the great treasure of enlightenment, great treasure of happiness, what obscures that, it is mental dirt. It is mental dirt, and this is of the gross and the subtle. And the gross one is also referred to as the afflictive obscurations. And the subtle one is known as cognitive obscurations. And afflictive obscurations means the obscuration of mental defilements, the gross one, the presence of which obscures us from achieving freedom from samsara. One, freedom from the miseries. And the subtle one, also referred to as the cognitive obscuration, and oftentimes referred to as some translators translate that as the obscuration to omniscience. So these were saying the cognitive obscuration is defined as any mental dirt, the subtle version of the dirts, the presence of which obstructs us from achieving total enlightenment or Buddhahood. So we have to remove these two dirts so that the true nature of ours, we as being very weak, we as being prone to sickness, we as being prone to afflictions and so prone to anger, attachment, so forth, this is not really you. That is not really you. These are just the manifestations of the external dirts. Your true nature is hidden inside. Why not we make it manifest fully, and that your happiness that we seek becomes the manifest fully. Okay, so with this in mind, the afflictive obscurations, we see that it is of three kinds. The manifest negativities in the form of physical, verbal, and mental actions. One. And then the physical, verbal, and mental actions, also referred to as the karma, contaminant karmas. These contaminant karmas, what made them come out is because of the driving force inside. What is the driving force? It's the afflictions, our desire, attachment, anger, jealousy, competition. These afflict emotions within us. They drive us to act and behave very badly, physically, verbally, and mentally. So the emotions, disturbing emotions, which are responsible for driving us to engage in the physical, verbal, and the mental negative karmas or contaminant karmas. So this set of the afflictions, the mental states is known as the afflictions. So the second kind of the afflictive obscuration is the afflictions. Number three is the active seeds. Active seeds of the contaminant karmas. The earlier two, active seeds of the contaminant karmas and the active seeds of the afflictions. So these three constitute the afflictive obscurations. One. So as long as we have these three, you will continue to suffer in samsara. Right? One. Then the number three, cognitive obscuration. That constitutes the subtle stains, very subtle stains or the inactive seeds of the afflictive obscurations. Afflictive obscurations, contaminant karmas and afflictions, the active seeds belong to the afflictive obscurations, and the inactive seeds, very subtle stains, inactive seeds, they are qualified as the cognitive obscuration. The presence of this obscures us from achieving total Buddhahood. Now our job here, the next 11 days, is to really identify what is afflictive obscurations and what is cognitive obscurations, and precisely what exactly is cognitive obscuration that we should be able to. It's not just that you hear something, you learn something, but are you really confident about it? Are you really convinced about it? So this is something we have to learn the next 11 days. What exactly constitutes the cognitive obscuration, right? Say, I said the inactive seed. What is that inactive seed? How do we know this inactive seed? So all these we have to learn over the next 11 days. Okay, this is very important. So with this in mind, our job is to cleanse this mental defilement. These mental defilements, afflictive obscurations and the cognitive obscurations, in order to make this Buddha nature become manifest within us. Okay. And to make it very quick, that would be good, that what can then, once we identify these mental defilements, how can we get rid of this? So one is the afflictive obscurations. Afflictive obscurations will come to know that all the miseries that we go through in samsara, all the miseries, the pain, the acutely painful miseries, excruciating pains in samsara, they all somehow boil down to the immediate causes, the contaminated karmas. And these contaminated karmas, they arise from the afflictions. And the afflictions, they arise from the ignorance. So finally, we don't worry too much about it. So this is just the intro, right? And all what I'm saying now is what we're going to learn in detail over the next 11 days. Okay, so all miseries that we go through, they all come from the contaminated karmas. And contaminated karmas, they arise from the afflictions. And the afflictions, they arise from ignorance. So if we cut the root, however millions of poisonous leaves growing on the tree, they will all dry automatically. Likewise, if we cut the root of the ignorance, then all the enormity of the afflictive obscurations and the contaminated karmas, afflictions, contaminated karmas, and thus the miseries will all come to an end when the ignorance is severed. One. Now, how to cut the ignorance, how to sever the ignorance. So ignorance, the best thing, the thing of the attraction, the strength, and the beauty of the Buddha's teaching is to be very realistic. And to say if there is dark, if it is dark, the most practical thing to do is to introduce light. Likewise, ignorance is actually a form of darkness. To eradicate darkness of the ignorance, we have to introduce the light of the wisdom. So the wisdom plays a very important role. So the tremendous emphasis is going to be on wisdom. So this 11 days is going to be dedicated, I would say the 60%, 60 or 80%, if not 80%, 60%, or 60 or 65, 70% will be dedicated on how to cultivate this wisdom, right? And then so this wisdom is going to sever the ignorance. But even if the X to cut the tree, poisonous tree, is lying there on the table, but if you don't have the determination, if you don't have the determination to cut the poisonous tree there, then simply because the X lying there on the table, it will not automatically cut there. So you should have the determination. So the determination required to cut the root of ignorance is known as renunciation. So the renunciation is required as a determination, as a motivation to use this act of the wisdom to cut the ignorance, which will in turn lead to the severing of all miseries. One. renunciation, and the wisdom. Now the cognitive obscuration. Cognitive obscuration, what actually cleanses the cognitive obscuration, again, is the same. Because the cognitive obscuration, as I said earlier, is the subtle stains of the cognitive, the afflictive obscuration, subtle stains. So the basic root is much more the same, the ignorance. Now it is not the evident ignorance, but the subtle stains of the ignorance. So the antidote or the remedy to overcome that remains the same, the wisdom of emptiness. But what is the difference between the wisdom to be employed to overcome the afflictive obscurations and the wisdom to overcome the cognitive obscuration? What's the difference? So the various philosophical schools, they come up with their own different positions, but what we're going to learn here is according to Prasangika, the highest Buddhist school, which is represented by Aranigarjuna to the extreme left side, Tanga. Okay. So there we see that it is the wisdom. The same wisdom is going to be employed. Then what's the difference? If it is the same wisdom, then while we eradicate afflictive obscurations, why does it not eradicate the cognitive obscurations as well? This is a question. So the answer is, like, say for example, if you want to go to Mars, from Jambi, if you want to go to Mars, right? Then you take a car. You take a car and you keep driving. You will never reach Mars. However many years you drive, you will simply revolve around the Earth. You will never. So in order to get to Mars, you have to have an escape velocity. The velocity with which you have to run should be high enough that it should escape the Earth. Otherwise, the velocity with which we run now, that does not have the energy to get out of Earth. It will simply be continuously trapped in Earth. Likewise, the wisdom that we require, the wisdom, although the wisdom is the same, but there must be the energy to the wisdom, which is like an escape velocity, which escapes us from which allows us to escape us from the cognitive obscuration. There should be escape velocity. So the wisdom per se is the same, but the velocity should be a little different. So this velocity will be given to us by Bodhicitta. Renunciation is not sufficient. Renunciation should be the basis. On that we have to add Bodhicitta. Then that gives us energy to escape from the cognitive obscuration as well. Right? So now we see that renunciation, wisdom of emptiness as the main implement or the main instrument, main remedy to overcome both obscurations, but the motivation, driving force for eradicating afflictive obscurations, the driving force is, the motivation is renunciation, and to eradicate the cognitive obscuration is renunciation plus bodhicitta and the wisdom of emptiness. So these three things are required there finally. Now we see that the wisdom of emptiness, which is like the very powerful light, the light. So how strong this light is to burn the papers, to burn the cognitive obscuration, right? How strong the light is to burn the light that we have here scattered. However, say the light of the whole earth, even if we have this much of light, it will never burn the paper, right? In order to burn the paper, so this light must be channelized. All this light must be channelized, must be concentrated, and make it like a laser beam. Laser beam is nothing but enormity of light, put them together in a very localized, very small space. So that becomes a laser beam. So that, to channelize the mind, to channelize this wisdom, to make it very refined, that is done through the shamatha practice. And shamatha practice, there are various versions. So shamatha practice. We see that wisdom of emptiness is the one which actually cuts the afflictive obscurations, which actually cuts the cognitive obscurations, right? Which actually cleanses the mind, wisdom of emptiness. For this we need the determination, the driving force. And driving force to cut the afflictive obscuration is renunciation. The driving force to cut the cognitive obscuration is renunciation plus bodhicitta. 3, right? Wisdom, emptiness, renunciation, bodhicitta. And to channelize this wisdom, to make it very powerful, to really cut, we require the shamatha. And shamatha, there are various kinds. And of course, within the 11 days, we will also touch that area as well, the shamatha. And then with these 4 things intact, then when we see the plight of the sentient beings, the miseries, it is so acutely paining. It's so acutely paining, much more in intensity than the mother is seeing her very vulnerable, say 1 week old baby suffering terribly, and the baby cannot do anything, and the mother is there just to think, what can I do, right? And the mother could see, the mother is crying, mother is in pain. So whatever the mother has to do to save the child, the mother is ready to do it. So this is the kind of the sense of urgency. So when we feel the tremendous love, so the mother feels that because of the mother's the intensity of the mother's love towards the child. So through the practice of bodhicitta, when we cultivate the intense love and affection towards all sentient beings, which is 100% possible. 100% possible. To cultivate this intense love for all sentient beings is 100% possible. The bodhicitta is very much possible. And we see that finally this is what a gift, what a reward for me to practice this bodhicitta. And it will happen to all of us. Only thing that we need is concerted effort. Concerted effort to first try to gain conviction in this. First try to gain conviction. Once you gain conviction in this, then practice, take the steps. Take the steps, and you will, for sure, you will see that, oh, now I could feel something of the bodhicitta. It may not be full-fledged, but it is like you coming closer towards Mount Kailash, right? And from distance, you will see that although you're not there in Mount Kailash, but from distance, 100% the Mount Kailash is there. You become very confident, right? So this will happen. So it all requires gaining conviction. Once you gain conviction, and then once you see the Mount Kailash, don't stay there, right? Keep moving towards where you see the Mount Kailash. Then you will reach closer and closer towards Mount Kailash. So likewise, once you gain the conviction that yes, 100% the bodhicitta is possible, you could feel it. Once you reach that to that level of the conviction, then you must keep walking with the practice, and you see that this is so beautiful practice, and this whole meaning of my life, right? Okay. So with this we see that the 4 things: renunciation, bodhicitta, wisdom of emptiness, and shamatha, right? So these 4 things. Then with these 4 things, when we see that the beings are terribly in the pain, and you feel the tremendous love and affection, you feel you could empathize with the tremendous intensity, then what you want to do is that you would look for ways and means to expedite your path, your journey, to reach the goal as soon as possible, so that you can benefit the beings as soon as possible. So to expedite the journey, we require the tantric path. So tantric path comes number 5th. It comes as number 5, right? So oftentimes what I say is 4 plus 1. I don't say 5. I said 4 plus 1. There's a reason. Because oftentimes when we say 5, and to expedite, wow, is amazing. So I don't have to go through all the other, very tedious path. I can just directly jump to Tantra. So this is a total illusion. Oftentimes people get that feeling that, oh, I'm very fortunate. I received the HYT. I learned this from Singapore. HYT. Right? Okay. So I already have HYT. Did you have HYT? Right? If you don't have HYT, you're not entitled to come to this class. You're not no, this is just an illusion. That's an illusion. Right? So, of course, once you have HYT empowerment, you have the commitment. That you have to do. Whether you like it or not, you have to do it. So what I'm saying is that, say, 4 plus 1 if you already have the empowerment and so forth, what you do is that is very precious. That's very precious, but emphasis should be on the form. Emphasis should be on the form, and then without somebody else telling you, you will get a feeling of the value, tremendous value of this Tantra, Vajrayana Tantra, right? And then when you get to this level, where you get a glimpse of what Tantra is, and when you have a quite experiential understanding of the form, then the wish, drive towards the practice of Tantra, and just to hear about these teachings on Tantra will make you shed tears. It will not arouse, it will not stimulate excitement. Wow, amazing, I'm very lucky that I have to skip all the first 4 parts and then I'm directly into Tantra. I'm very lucky, HYT, right? So if this is attitude, we are just living in the dream of living in the world of illusion. Whereas, just think about Tantra and tears roll down your eyes. Amazing, amazing. And then you could figure out who actually is qualified Tantra and who is not qualified Tantra. When you reach to that level, only then you are qualified to practice it. Whereas most of us, including myself, we are not really qualified to this. Even though you are not qualified, it doesn't mean that now, okay, whatever of HYT, okay, now I discard this. No. Whatever you already had it, you already have, just keep them and do the commitments, right? Feel the value, but the emphasis should be on the first 4. Renunciation, Bodhicitta, wisdom of emptiness, and shaman. Even these 4 is sometimes mind-blowing, right? And it would be, you may think that it's too much. What do we want? We want a simple and most effective and shortcut, right? If we expect this, then the great past great saints, they said that if we expect such thing, nothing will happen to us. Let alone getting the best, you will not get anything at all. Okay, so with this in mind, let's turn to page 2. Page 2, okay, to rephrase what you already did, do a proper visualization of the refuge field, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and the entire, the filling the whole sky in front of you. And what to visualize, how to visualize. Okay, very quick. Number 2, the Bodhicitta field. All of the Mother sentient beings, including your own parents, all family members, and everyone living on a side, including the difficult people. Just bring them, particularly difficult people, you should bring them in your field of visualization for Bodhicitta practice. And how to visualize, number 2. You are the mother and all other Salaki children. And you are ready to give love, attention, embrace, and so forth, to the extent that each one of them feels themselves as so special in your eyes. And the purpose of this whole retreat is to discover this ultimate treasure of enlightenment, ultimate treasure of the happiness within us, which is temporarily obscured by the mental defilements, which is of 2 kinds, the gross and the subtle. The gross one also referred to as the afflictive obscurations, and the subtle one referred to as cognitive obscurations. The gross one, afflictive obscurations, is of 3 kinds: contaminant karmas, afflictions, and the active seeds. So all these 3 somehow boil down to ignorance. It is only through severing the ignorance that all the afflictive obscurations can be declared, and that we will be freed from the ensnarement of samsara. So for this, it is through the wisdom of emptiness to counteract the ignorance, and this wisdom of emptiness must be backed by the motivation of renunciation. On the other hand, we have the cognitive obscuration, which is nothing but the subtle stains of the afflictive obscurations, or also sometimes referred as inactive seeds of the afflictive obscurations. This can be severed by the same wisdom of emptiness, but with a very different power of the motivation, which is Bodhicitta. Okay, with this in mind, let's turn to page 2. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, one who taught this peace which is free of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the Buddhas and of the hearers and Bodhisattvas, who through the knowledge of all these hearers seeking pacification to complete peace, who through the knowledge of paths causes those helping migrators to achieve the aims of the world, and through the possession of omniscience the subduers set forth their varieties having all aspects. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. The teacher, Sugata and protector, to you are my prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays, to you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. Okay, let's turn to page 7. From the bottom up. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Okay, so the Tibetan version, what we recite in Tibetan versions. So we do that for two reasons. One, most of us here, we have already attended His Holiness's teachings, and those who have not, we are bound to. In fact, the wisest thing for us to do in terms of learning is to attend His Holiness the Dalai Lama's teachings as much as possible. And where you cannot attend because of whatever reasons, then you can, now the world of technology, you can go visit His Holiness's website, dalailama.com, and then wherever teaching is happening, you can listen to them through live streaming, and there are so many teachings that you can download and listen to. Okay, so what I'm saying is that when we attend His Holiness's teachings, this stanza, some of the stanzas in Tibetan, they're always being said. So it would be good if we can learn this in Tibetan. 1. Number 2, while my design or my style of teaching is very rational, you'll come to realize that, and you may think that he's too skeptical person, right? Okay, you may come to that extent. It doesn't matter, but we are not to deny the power of the prayers, right? We are not to deny the power of the prayers. So, for example, say this stanza, this prayer, for example, is said by, say, the incredibly great saints in this same word. For example, say, His Holiness, the present day, we are so fortunate, we are breathing the same air as His Holiness. We are treading on the earth as His Holiness. We're so fortunate, right? So there's a living Buddha there. There's a living Bodhisattva here. So with this, and he's reciting this in this particular language. So there's a tremendous accumulation of the power of this prayer being said over for thousands of years. That's in the same language. So that way it has a tremendous power to say. So meanwhile, try to say this with knowing the meanings, right? And it's easy, it's not at all difficult. So what I will do is that over the next few days, the days of our time together, once in a while I'll try to explain each of these stanzas, the Tibetans, the English, the Sanskrit, and so forth, right? So forth, because to do everything in one go is quite taxing. Okay, so one, and then there are other things as well, which I'll explain a little later about the verses in Tibetan. Okay, so this, most of you I know, I'm very confident that most of you already know the meaning of this. Those of you are more new, there's no harm in you making notes in the books. Sometimes some teachers may not encourage you to make notes on the books. Oh, it is making dirty, it is being disrespectful. So keep this in mind, that disrespectful is, for example, say if you have somebody gives you some, the fruits, and you have no place to keep it, then put it in the book to hold it. That is wrong. That is being disrespectful, right? And say somebody said, "Oh, I'm supposed to be giving you, please borrow me $10, and then you, okay, I'll not forget it. Then you note it down that in your prayer book. That is being disrespectful. This is meaning, all right? This is meaning. Writing anything on the prayer book. This is not disrespectful, right? Making notes. Okay, Sangye means Buddha, then you write Buddha. Now, what you wrote, Buddha, that also becomes another text, another holy sacred book, another sacred word. That also becomes a part of the sacred, the text. It becomes very precious, right? For example, say, if you have your teachers in your different centers, right? Say, if you get a book where your teachers made notes, right? This is so precious. So that also becomes another textbook, very holy textbook, right? So we have to know. So oftentimes this is a problem. We tend to overgeneralize, right? Overgeneralize, and then we don't discriminate. What is to be abandoned? What is meant by disrespectful? What is being respectful? Okay, so make notes is fine. There's nothing wrong in that, right? We have to make this distinction. We have to have this intelligence to have a sense of discretion. What is right? What is wrong? Right? Don't say that writing everything is wrong, right? Eating everything is wrong. Then you say, hey, don't eat food, because yesterday I ate food. And I had a diarrhea, right? Don't eat food at all. This is wrong. This is how the human, not all, but oftentimes this is the psyche, right? Something goes wrong with one thing, then you just generalize everything, right? So what we do is that don't eat bad food, right? Eat good food. There's nothing wrong in that. So this is the discretion that we need to have. Okay, with that in mind, I'll quickly explain this here. Sangye Sangye means the Buddha. Sangye is Buddha. Che is Dharma. Buddha Dharma. Tang is and. A-N-D and. Buddha, Dharma, and. Tsok. Tsok is accumulation. Ki. Ki is connecting word. Tsoki. Chok. Chok is supreme. Supreme of the assembly. Supreme of the same collection. Here in this context, it is assembly. Assembly, supreme of the assembly. Namla is to these. To these, supreme of the assembly. Referring to Sangha. Referring to Sangha. Tsoki, Chonamla, referring to Sangha. Changchup is enlightenment. Changchup is enlightenment. Changchup. Pardu is till, until. Changchup Pardu. Dag. Dag is I. Dag is I. Chanju Bardu. Dag. Ni is again a connecting word. Kyapsu Chi is go for refuge. Kyapsu Chi is go for refuge. I go for refuge till enlightenment. Kyapsu Chi. Dag. Again Dag is I. Dag Ki. Ki is again connecting word. Dag Ki. Jinsok. Jin is generosity. Jin is generosity, the first perfection, generosity. Sok. Sok is etc. Sok is etc. Jinsok. Keeper. Keeper means done. Done. Engaged. Done or did. Keeper. Chok namgi. Chok. Again the same. The chok means accumulation or the assembly. So here it is the accumulation. Chok namgi. By this accumulation, through generosity which I engaged in. So this is the meaning. Line 2. Line 3. Dag, again dag. Dag is I. Dag ki is connecting word. Oh no, dag is jinso give a sonam. This is done. Dola penja sangye duversion. Dola. Do is sentient beings. Do is sentient beings. Do. La is to. Dola. Pen. Pen is to benefit. Pen is benefit. Dola pen. Chir is form. Form the benefit. To benefit. Pen chir. Sangye is Buddha. Buddhahood. Buddha. Duparsho. Dupa means attain. Dupa is achieve. Attain. Duparsho is may. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Right? Okay, with that in mind, let's say this 3 times. Sanje Joda Soge Chonamla Chanju Bardo Dane Yapsu Chim Dage Jin Soge Be Sonamge Tola Benjir Sanje Dubara Sho Sanje Joda Soge Chonamla Chanju Bardo Dane Yapsu Chim Dage Jin Soge Be Sonamge Tola Benjir Sanje Dubara Sho Sanje Joda Soge Chonamla Chanju Bardo Dane Gyapsu Che Dage Jin Soge Be Chonamge Tola Benjir Sanje Dubara Sho. Okay, next. The stanza in English. All phenomena arise from causes. So here, to make a quick explanation, all phenomena, particularly all phenomena of miseries. All phenomena of miseries arise from their respective causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. Now, what are these causes of the miseries? What are these causes of miseries? So as we discussed earlier, say the cause of miseries in the form of contaminated karmas, afflictions, ignorance, which we discussed earlier, and we'll discuss more as well. So what the causes of miseries are, the causes are taught by the Tathagata. Tathagata meaning the Buddha. What the causes are taught by the Buddha. So pre-Buddha's time, there was the many teachers who also giving extensive teachings to the disciples, and telling them that miseries come from the causes, and then they also indicate to various factors for the causes, right? Whereas the Buddha Shakyamuni indicated to these factors, contaminated karmas, afflictions, and finally to ignorance. And ignorance also, not just any ignorance, a very precise ignorance, right? So our job is not to take the Buddha blindly. Oh, the Buddha, because I'm born in a Buddhist family, so what the Buddha said is correct, what all other teachers said is wrong, right? So this should not be an attitude. Particularly coming to the teaching of the Buddha, we should have this confidence that I have the liberty to ask any questions. I have the liberty. Even what the Buddha said, I can question, I can ask questions, right? So this must be our attitude, because if I say that I came from Tibet, then you'll trust me. Or let's say I'm a Tibetan, you'll trust me. That's fine, right? And then you ask me, how are you Tibetan? Because my parents are Tibetans. And it's true. And you don't need any other explanation. You don't need any other blood tests and these things, gene tests, so forth, right? Okay. Whereas if I say that, quantum physics is the most refined physics today. Quantum physics and relativity theory. These two are the most refined physics today, right? Okay. right? And quantum physics, let us recite mantra, quantum physics, so that we'll know quantum physics, right? Then we recite 100,000 times quantum physics, quantum physics, quantum physics, Om Ahum, quantum physics, Om Ahum. We recite 100,000 times, quantum physics will never come to our mind. Don't expect that one day we become a quantum physicist because we recite the quantum physics mantra for 100,000 times. Don't expect that. Likewise, emptiness, the wisdom of emptiness, it is as defined as quantum physics, believe it or not. It is as defined as quantum physics. Don't expect that things dissolve in things dissolve in emptiness. You recite this millions and trillions of times. Don't expect wisdom emptiness coming to you, right? Wisdom emptiness is to be critically analyzed. Critically analyzed. This is so profound a teaching. It is just as quantum physics is so complicated. Quantum is likewise the wisdom emptiness is very complicated. It is only through concerted effort in learning and reflection that we can expect to understand the wisdom of emptiness. Without the wisdom of emptiness, all other teachings, they're very much in common with other religions. There's nothing unique of the Buddha's teachings if the wisdom of emptiness is taken out. So therefore, wisdom of emptiness, simply through prayers, it will not come to us. Right? So in this connection, what I'm saying is that what the causes of the miseries are, second line, what the causes of miseries are is indicated, taught by the Buddha, taught by the Tathagata. So which means the ignorance, very subtle ignorance, the counterforce which is only the wisdom of emptiness, that is taught by the Buddha. Okay, now the cessation of the causes as well. How to bring an end, how to let these causes come to an end, how to cease these causes. The cessation of causes as well is taught by the great seer. Great seer meaning the Buddha, right? The Buddha. Okay, so with this, the mantra there, and up there, Om Ye Dharma Hedu mantra. So this mantra I'll quickly explain here. Of course, don't expect that I must be a great Sanskrit scholar. I'm not, right? But for us to recite this mantra, we need to know the meaning. To know the meaning, say somehow we have to manage. Okay, for that purpose, I'm explaining this. Om. So basically, Om. So sometimes the mantra begins by Ye Dharma Hedu Prabhava, like this. And sometimes mantra, there's this Om added. So basically, in all cases, keep in mind that this Om, of course the Om, Sanskrit is amazing language, Sanskrit. Om, it has so many meanings. One of which is so relevant to our practice is that this Om consists of 3 letters. This syllable is consisted of 3 letters, A, U, Ma, right? And the 3 letters, they symbolize our body, speech and mind, and the body, speech and mind of the enlightened beings. So, when we recite the syllable Om, it should remind us that I should transform this A symbolizing my body, defiled body, right? A, U symbolizing my defiled speech, Ma symbolizing my defiled mind. A, U, Ma. So, the 3 letters which constitute the syllable Om, which symbolize my body, the defiled body, speech, mind that I have, should be eventually transformed into the undefiled, pure body, speech, and mind of the enlightened beings. Right? So, how does this happen? Simply activate your Buddha nature. When the Buddha nature is activated fully, when the mental defilements are all gone, then your body will become the body of the enlightened being, the Buddha. Your speech will become the speech of the enlightened being, and your mind will become the Buddha's mind. Right? So this is what we should be reminded of as we recite the syllable Om. Right? Of course, there are many more meanings to this Om. Now the question is, how can we do this? How can I transform this body, speech, mind that I have, which are all defiled, into the undefiled form, into the pure form of the body, speech, mind of the enlightened beings? How should I do that? That is through the Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava. How? Ye Dharma. Ye Dharma means, so now you try to relate to the English translation, right? I'll try to pinpoint to them. Ye Dharma means these phenomena. So in loosely we translate it as all phenomena. Ye Dharma, these, meaning indicating to all, pointing to all, see these phenomena. Ye Dharma, Hetu, Hetu is cause. Hetu is cause. Prabhava, Prabhava is arise. These Dharma, these phenomena, particularly the miseries, these phenomena, miseries, they arise from causes. Om Ye Dharma, Hetu Prabhava. Hetum teshan tathagato hyavatat. Hetum is a plural form of the causes. Plural form of the cause. Hetum is again a cause. Teshan is these. Hetum, teshan, tathagato. Tathagato is the Buddha. Hyavatat. Hyavatat is taught or said. So the causes of these are said by Tathagata. Hyavatat. Tesham chayo nirodha. Tesham is again these meaning these causes. Tesham chayo, it is again the linking, the connecting word. Tesham chayo nirodha. Nirodha is a cessation. Nirodha is a cessation. Cessation of these causes, of these referring to these causes. Tesham chayo nirodha evam. Evam is thus. Evam means thus. Evam. Vadi is taught. Thus taught. Vadi. Mahashramana, the great. Maha is great. Shramana is the seer. The great saint. The great seer. Referring to the Buddha. Great seer. Ye Swaha. Ye Swaha is established. Mantras, they are all mostly there are various versions of mantras. Some have the Om at the top, some have the Swaha at the end, some have both, some do not have any. There are various versions of mantra. So this one Swaha is established, right? Okay, so let's recite this. First the meaning and then followed by the mantra 3 times. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Okay, now the mantra we will recite with the tune, and those of us who already know this from Bali and from from TPC, okay, we will recite this together. Those of you who are new to this, you listen to us and then join us, right? And you are not freed, you have to join us. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Teshan Tathagato Hyavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Bhati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Teshan Tathagato Hyavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Bhati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Teshan Tathagato Hyavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Bhati Mahashramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of causes as well is taught by the great seer. Okay, let's turn to page 8. A sutra remembering the 3 jewels. here as we recite this is more like a eulogy to the Buddha, praise to the Buddha, and sometimes we get wrong impression. We get the feeling that if we praise the Buddha, then the Buddha will be very happy, then he will grant us our wishes and so forth. This is wrong. So whether we praise the Buddha, we don't praise the Buddha, Buddha loves us at all times, right? Now the thing is, by praising, by the uttering, by beseeching the Buddha with these praises, idea is that you benefit. Benefit what? Benefit with wealth, name and so forth. No, this is not idea. Benefit to activate this Buddha nature within us. Right? Finally, the wealth. What is the wealth? The wealth will help us that when we have the physical problems, or when we have this issue, then the wealth can help us. And what is the good food? Good food is to help us when we feel hungry. Right? So in the first place, all these problems, somehow they're connected. They're connected with this body, which is so weak. For this, we need good food. Then they say the facilities. When cold, then hot. When hot, then we need the AC and so forth. Right. So the idea is, if this Buddha nature, the real benefit is if this Buddha nature can become manifest, we don't have to depend on the medicines, on the food, on anything. We don't have to depend on anything, right? So we see the things, external factors, as then we tend to envy other people who have these external factors, so forth. Actually, what these external factors are, they are not wrong, but they are with a purpose. They are formed to make us our life easier, because without these external factors, we are so vulnerable. But if you don't have the vulnerability, if you can fly directly without having to go through the airport, right? You just now the Bodhicitta retreat finished. We have to go back to Singapore, and then you're ready. You pack your bag and you fly directly. Why do you have to need the aeroplanes? We don't need. Aeroplanes are required because our body is so weak, it cannot go there, right? And to go by bus, to go by the other things, it takes lots of time, and then we become sick. So we are so weak, right? We're so weak. Now, if this Buddha nature becomes manifest, it can do anything. It does not require any other external factors. Right? So now if you are wise, we have to seek something which will make us very independent, that we are not dependent on aeroplane, that we are not dependent on food, that we are not dependent on external factors, right? That we become so independent that 24/7. Right? That 24/7. People become so independent. So that potential we have. Now what we seek is, we seek something to make us independent. Right? Rather than we continue to remain weak, and then because we're weak, we need medicines when we are sick. Right? But then we ask for medicines. Buddha, please give me medicines. Buddha, please give me this, and so forth. These are taken for granted that we continue to remain weak. Why should we have to remain weak? We have the strength. We have the potential for the total perfection. We have that quality, that potential within us. Why don't we activate this? Why don't we request the Buddha to activate this? Right? And then we become 24/7 independent. 24/7 independent, and then we are forever like the sun. And then not only you're independent, we can make others independent. All our dear mothers should be independent. So for this, we require to cultivate, that we need to cultivate the mental qualities. So what we praise the Buddha is by citing his mental qualities. And as we cite the Buddha's qualities there, see if you have some of these qualities within you. If you have, rejoice rejoice and see how to nurture them further. If you don't have them, knowing that finally I also have the capacity to become Buddha, I should also cultivate these qualities within me, and then we think of cultivating these qualities freshly. Once cultivated, then see how to nurture them further. So this is the purpose. This is a very skilled way of seeking blessings from the Buddha, to encourage, to let us be to reflect upon ourselves internally, to see whether these qualities are there. Okay, with that mind, let's recite homage to the Omniscient One, purified and consummate, victorious, virtuous and transcendent, thus gone, fore-destroying, entirely perfect Buddha, full of wisdom, the blissfully proceeding, the Lord of the world, charioteer and subduer beings, the unsurpassable and teacher of gods and men. Such is Buddha, victorious, virtuous and transcendent. He who is thus gone exemplifies the merit which is his cause. In him no root of virtue is ever worn away. Through his manifold patience he is excellently beautiful. He is the treasure ground of merit, adorned with the tokens of enlightenment. He is graced with the flowers of the marks of Buddhahood. All he does is timely and opportune, and nothing inharmonious marks the sight of him. True joy, indeed, he gives to those who open up their hearts to him in faith. Through the brilliance of his wisdom, he is unconfounded, and against his power there is no victory. He is the teacher of all living beings, the father of all bodhisattvas, the king of all supreme ones. He is the guide for those who journey to the city beyond affliction. His wisdom is unbounded, his assurance is beyond imagination. His speech is altogether pure, well-tuned and sweet to hear. Gazing on him, one is never satiated. His body is beyond compare. By the realm of desire, he is unstained, and by the realm of form, he is wholly uncontaminated. He is not mingled with the formless. He is altogether free from misery and from the aggregates. He is utterly and altogether liberated. Elements have no hold on him. He has mastery over the sense powers. All his bonds are completely severed, and from all pains he is perfectly and totally released. No craving does he have. He has passed beyond the stream. Perfect is, and in the wisdom of the Buddhas past, present, and to come. He has made his dwelling in nirvana, where all suffering is transcended. He does not abide. His abode is on the summit of perfection, whence he perceives all living beings. Such are the sublime qualities that are the greatness of the Buddha, victorious, virtuous, and transcendent. The sacred doctrine is righteous in the outset, righteous in the middle, righteous in the end, in its meaning excellent, and in its words and syllables. Likewise, it is integral, and it is all-sufficing, altogether pure and purifying. Well-spoken is this Dharma by the victorious, virtuous and transcendent. It is a perfect way of seeing and is devoid of flaws. It is perennial and leads us onward. To see this Dharma is to fulfill one's purpose. It produces in the wise the wisdom all distinguishing. The Dharma spoken by the victorious, virtuous and transcendent is shown to be well-tempered to the instructions and to the needs of all. It drives one from samsara and causes one to go to perfect Buddhahood. It is free from contradiction, and in it all is summarized. It is to be relied upon totally. It is the cutting of the road. The Sangha of the Mahayana comprises those who have well uttered and entered with straightforwardness and aptitude. Right it is to join one's hands before them, and right to make prostrations. They are the glorious field of merit. They are the perfect recipient of gifts. They are the object of offering everywhere and always. They are the objects worthy of all offering. Okay, let's turn to Heart Sutra. Okay, so basically this is the beginning of the retreat, and the Heart Sutra. Heart Sutra, this is so precious, and one of the sessions we're going to dedicate on explaining Heart Sutra. Explaining Heart Sutra. This is so precious, and this is commonly being used by the Chinese in Chinese Buddhism as well as in Tibetan Buddhism. Okay, so if you know this meaning, that will be greatly beneficial. And this is actually very the powerful and extremely precious. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama, whenever he gives teachings, in fact, the tradition has it that during the last scale teachings, in order to, they are bound to be obstacles. So to clear the obstacles, and there are some specific rituals to perform, but His Holiness always prefers to recite Heart Sutra. Recite Heart Sutra in the public, the audience joins His Holiness to recite Heart Sutra to replace the other rituals in order to clear obstacles, should there be any. So with this mind, there are obstacles bound to be there for us attending this the Bodhicitta retreat. So let us say this and say a heartfelt prayer to Buddha Shakyamuni, to His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas, and to the Bodhisattva, the two Bodhisattvas, Bodhisattva Dharmakirti Lama Selingpa, and Bodhisattva Adhicitta Shri Jnana. It is for these two great enlightened beings that we came here all the way. We came here. It is for this reason. So let us visualize them, and all Buddhist Bodhisattvas them. Let us beseech them that should there be any obstacles, be cleared. Okay, so that all of us be able to bring a clean completion to this retreat. Prostrate to the Aryatubal gem. Thus did I hear at one time the Bhagavan was dwelling on Mount of Vultures mountain in Rajgriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration. All the categories of phenomena called profound illumination. Also at that time the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Aravalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound illumination of the wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of The Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Aravalokiteshvara: how should any child of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound professional wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Aravalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound professional wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, composite factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are empty, without characteristic, unseen, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composite factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no eye element, and so on, up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the professional wisdom, the mind without obscuration, thus without fear. Having completely passed beyond the era, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifest a complete awakening to unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the professional wisdom. Therefore, the mother of the professional wisdom, the mother of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mother of the professional wisdom is declared Tyata Om Gade Gade Baragat Parasam Gade Bore Swaha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound professional wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commented on the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Aravalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound professional wisdom just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan, having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Aravalokiteshvara, those surrounding the entirety along with the gods, overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Okay, let's recite this mantra in tune 7 times. As we recite the mantra, so this mantra you will learn later. It is the process. It is telling us the journey, internal journey, a journey of cleansing the mind, journey from the state of ordinary defiled being to the state of the total perfection of enlightened state by activating, by manifesting this Buddha nature, the beautiful Buddha nature within us. Okay, the more detailed explanation I'll give later. For the time being, let's recite this 7 times and visualize that your two kind parents and those of us who do not have your parents here with us, let us pray whether they are passed away or they are still alive. Let us imagine that they are with us here, and all the family members and everyone that are with us, and you are leading this and informing them that, look, this is what our compassionate teacher Buddha Shakyamuni is exhorting us thus. Don't remain in the fears of samsara. Come out. You have the treasure inside you. You have the treasure of ultimate happiness within you. Just unfold it, and then forever, 24/7, you are happy that you will not have any experience of pain anymore. So you just inform your two parents or the family members that this is what a compassionate teacher Buddha Shakyamuni is exhorting us, not to remain in fears. Just come out, come to his ultimate happiness. By disclosing this, by unraveling this source of the Buddhahood within us. So with that in mind, everyone so happily joins you, and you are leading this. With that in mind, let's recite. Tirtha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha Tirtha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha Dhyata Om Gati Gati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha Dhyata Om Gati Gati Paragati 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 Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha. Page 18. By the teachings of the three supreme jewels possessing the power of truth, may inner and outer hindrances be transformed, may they be dispelled, may they be non-existent, may they be pacified, may all negative forces opposed to the Dharma be completely pacified, may the host of 80,000 obstacles be pacified, may we be separated from problems and conditions harmful to the Dharma, may all enjoyments be in accord with the Dharma, may auspiciousness and perfect happiness pervade this place now. Okay, some of you may be wondering why clapped, right? This clapping is convention. In fact, say we live in the world of convention. Even the world is also convention. Who lives there is also convention. So, is convention. Say for example, what is this convention? This word convention for what? Good, right? Okay. And what is this convention? Peace. So this finger is not peace, right? So it's just pure convention. right? If somebody says this is peace, then anybody does this means it's peace. Whereas somebody who first created the symbol of the peace, this is peace. So it's just a pure convention. You drive to the left or the right, which is correct? Huh? Which is correct? Singaporeans? Huh? Right is correct? Left or right? Right is correct. Okay, if you drive left, the road will not tell you you are on the wrong lane. The road will not tell you. So who tells us that the left is wrong? It's the convention. Because there's a chaos on the road, so to solve the chaos, then some experts, some people who can think more, say, they sensibly and rationally, so they come together and then say, what should we do now? Should we, let us not let people go in any way they like. That will have a tremendous chaos. So what do we do? Okay, in Singapore, let's say right. And maybe someone say left. Okay, left. Then others say, okay, right. Okay, now let's say right. And then we say yes, right. Then it becomes right is right, left is wrong. You're getting it? This is pure convention. So, for example, I don't know whether this clapping is a convention in India then, but in Tibet there was a convention. Clapping, at one point, clap is the indication, a gesture of dispelling the negative forces. Right? This is just a convention. Okay. So, once we learn these conventions, once we learn that everything is just a convention, then we can easily understand what others are doing. Right? Easily understand what others are doing, their language, their style of the conversation, the same, all habits, different habits, they're just purely convention. Okay, so this we'll learn later. In fact, 65%, if not 70% of our time is going to be spent on this. What is convention? What is ultimate reality? What is empty and so forth? Okay, so the Heart Sutra is mainly for to cultivate the wisdom. Now the 8 verse mind training is mainly to cultivate the compassion. Right? 8 verses meant for the cultivate compassion. Okay, what we do is that we will quickly have a short break, tea break. It's like 11:15. We'll come back at 11. We'll come back at 11, then we'll continue the orientation course, because still we are not yet finished. Yes. Okay, short break, 15 minutes.